Dear friends, today we have with us Councillor Reena Jethi with us. And Reena is the first India-born female to be a councillor from the Hills Shire Council in Sydney. Reena, thank you so much for joining us at the Australia today.
Thank you very much, Pallavi, for having me. It is an honor and a pleasure to be in your company. And thank you to all our viewers and listeners. This is Councillor Reena Jethi from the Hillshire Council, welcoming you all.
Yeah. Reena, let's begin by asking you, tell us about your background, where you're from, when did you come to Australia?
I'm an Indian-born Delhiite girl, born and brought up in Delhi, educated in Delhi in Manasali Public School, taught as a high school teacher with DLDAV Public School in Shalimar Bagh, and then moved on to Salvan Public School. So it was all a teaching career. So by profession, a teacher in a high school. And then I migrated to Australia in the year 2000, the Olympic year. And I suppose every one of us remembers that gorgeous year where Sydney was outshining every possible city in the whole world. And then I worked as a high school teacher in Australia, in Sydney, at Westfield Sports High School. And now I am into the world of community service as a politician at the local government level and also a business person.
Reena, tell us, how did you decide to get into politics? Because we frankly don't see that much engagement by the Indian Australian community here in politics. So what made you get into politics, active politics, that is?
Well, the fact that there was not much of presence and interest from the Indian community, and especially female community bodies in Australia of the migrant sector, it was important to fill in that gap. And I felt that it was important to get connected with the community, and what better way to represent them, to be their voice. And that's how, when I was actually at high school at Westfields, I was a head teacher and I was interacting with a lot of community organizations, people, families, especially the migrant community. And that's when I felt that it was important to voice their opinion, to actually take their thoughts, ideas, suggestions, and expectations to the government. And moving on from there, I got connected with a lot of local organizations, the parties, and my ideology, my ethos connected with the Liberal Party. And that's how I joined the Liberal Party. And thereon, there was no turning back.
You are the first India-born female from the Liberal Party to become a councillor in the Hills Shire Council here in Sydney. Let me ask you, how difficult has it been or easy has it been as a woman of color, and especially a person of Indian origin, to make your mark in politics here?
I suppose that question is not just in the world of politics. It is a profession that is very much similar to any other profession. When you are a migrant, you are new to the country. And as a newbie, you have a whole box or list to tick off. For instance, if I just go by what my list was when I migrated, was okay, first find a profession, then find a profession of your choice and liking, then excel in that profession, and then make a mark, and then you go on to have a family. Because trust me, your age is not stopping. You are growing older by the day, by the month, by the year. So it is a two things that you're balancing: your professional life, your career, and your personal life and your family. So when I came over, I was single. I met my husband Rahul Jethi in Sydney, and the moment we met, we decided, okay, we need to complement each other. So our family life and our career life both had to walk hand in hand. And I suppose when you're ticking off those boxes, buying a house, paying off a mortgage, having kids, finding the right school, life goes on like fast pace. Like it's like fast forward, and time flies by. In that, let me just put myself into any other person or migrant's shoes. They don't have time to think about politics as a career, because politics, for one thing, is a community service. If you're looking at establishing yourself and making good big money, then probably politics is not the first choice of profession. So you're better off being the CEO. And Indians are, wow, they are masterminds of technology, doctors, science, internet. You're looking at that kind of background from India. We are the brains behind every industry. So politics probably is the last thing as a profession. And that's what I felt, that it is important to actually represent the community, the migrant community, females. When I became a business person, I realized the roadblocks the women were facing as a woman entrepreneur. So that
Mhm.
was another thing on my radar. Okay, address that, give them what they need, give them support. So look, all these things brought in. And then it was where I live, the Hillshire Council, we needed a migrant voice. So there you go. I entered in. But going back to when you said, was it difficult? Look, I cannot say it was not difficult. It
Mhm.
is hard. But as I said, just like any other profession, it will be hard to excel. It will be difficult to go up the ladder. You have competition, you have expectation, you have targets. Yes. And you prove yourself right, you prove yourself worthwhile and move on. It is hard work, but it pays off.
And Reena, you've been here for almost 2 decades now. Uh, what kind of shift have you seen in terms of the way India and Indian origin people are perceived in Australia? So tell us if you have some interesting anecdotes.
Absolutely. I think when I came to Australia in year 2000, I was living in Lane Cove, and one afternoon I came home and I was sharing my apartment with my younger brother's classmate. And I came home and I said, "Oh, I met this Indian person. He was at the end of the street, and I ran towards him and I said hello, and we exchanged numbers. And he gave me a look and he goes, oh my God, you have given your number and address to a stranger." And I said, he was from India. He had the same color. And he goes, yes, but you have to be mindful of who you are approaching. But other than that, it was a very different world. I had to find a place and explain to them what is atta. Atta, a whole meal, like, whole meal flour, wheat flour on top of it. So I had to literally go shop to shop and ask them and explain to them what is atta. Then another thing was, when I did find something like mix baking powder, flour, and this and that from all over the shops, there was hardly any Indian shop. Today we have Harris Park, moving towards becoming a little India. But at that time, there was nothing like that. We had one Indian restaurant in city, and we all used to want to be, going there and having a meal over the weekend. But then again, oh, I have a story. You know what? I had to cook roti. I had to cook roti, and I could not find a proper tawa, what you call in Hindi, and
Yeah.
a pan to cook roti. And I had to use a bent non-stick pan to cook roti. So my rotis were a bit bent. Okay. I didn't have anywhere to roll them, so I rolled them on a normal, like, a kitchen bench. But oh my God, we enjoyed that roti. Trust me, we missed India back home. The food, we missed it a lot. But look, today we are so lucky. We are so blessed. We have so many people coming over to Australia in every profession. We have chefs from India, we have top-notch, cooks, we have people who are looking into. And when we go to places where a doctor, we want to find someone who knows what we are saying. So my mom, for example, would like to go to a doctor who speaks her language, Hindi. So
Sure.
that's a huge shift. Initially, Australia was probably not on the horizon when people from India migrated. The first choice I still remember was Canada, US, England, right?
Yeah.
And my cousins there were, a couple of them are in Germany and other countries. But when I migrated to Australia, they said that's a no man's land. And trust what? Guess what? In COVID, they all were wanting to come here. So I said, hey, who's the winner? Reena.
Yeah, and it's very interesting you mentioned making roti, because now you have a situation where former Prime Minister Scott Morrison actually used to cook Indian meals and post that on social media. So that's quite a significant shift, I would say.
It is absolutely. And today we have WhatsApp where we have Indian groups, we have channels, we have videos, we have movies that is on SBS and everywhere. So it's quite a phenomenal change, but it is all for the good and better, because Australia is one place which has space in their heart, on the land, everywhere, for the multicultural society, the beautiful world. Australia is the only country supposedly that has the maximum migrant population and still have a say. So that is amazing.
Yeah. And coming to that, Reena, I mean, there has been a shift even in India Australia relations. If you look at the recent past, how important do you think is that relationship from a geostrategic point of view? And what role do you think has the community played in strengthening that relationship?
Look, India and Australia, they are two, India being the world's largest democracy, but at the same time, India has so much to offer. And Australia, being a growing, much more empowering country, will both ways benefit a lot with this huge relationship. I personally feel it is very important to have trade alliances, which Australia has done. Scott Morrison has been a phenomenal prime minister, and he has done that with India's Modi ji. Modi ji is the vision that every country dreams of as a leader. So moving forward, what the Indian migrant community in Australia has done, for example, community groups and business and trade association and groups like AIBTF, the Australia India Business Trade Foundation. There are so many more where the chambers are coming together to have business alliances, contacts across the borders. So that is the most important part, which will be coming in very handy moving forward. Other than that, I think it is important for the local businesses to have that faith and trust to support the businesses across. For example, we need to have more people traveling from Australia to open business fronts in India, and likewise from India to Australia. We know that Australia has a large bent towards education as being their one of the primary pull to from overseas, the students. That is a main attraction. Now, I think moving forward, if we promote Australia as a tourist place, that would be another great opportunity for Indian migrants to come over, not just for staying, but also as a tourism, bringing in and pouring in a lot of economic influx. Yeah.
Reena, I do want to ask you that while Australia is very, very multicultural now, we know that from our lived experience. But when it comes to politics, one could say that probably, when it comes to representation, especially of the Indian community, it's probably lacking a bit. So, how important do you think it is that the community gets more engaged in politics overall?
Look, let me put it this way: there will never be a single individual in any country who is not touched by politics. Either you are a part of politics or you are affected by politics. So, whatever you choose to be, on whichever side you choose to be, that is how it will be in your lives. So, I feel it is the most important thing for every person to
Mhm.
have a say. And it is not just at the time of elections, but to be a part of the machinery. It is a part of the moving world around you. I don't want to be answerable to my next generations to come, and when they feel there's something that could have been done in the past, and they turn up and say, Mom, why didn't you do it? Why didn't you fix it for us? Why is it that we have to face this issue today when it could have been fixed at least a decade or two before when you were out there? So that is why it is important for me to be a part of politics. Going back to what you said, why is it that people don't do that? I think, again, it is that whole list of what they want to achieve in their lives. If you want to be in politics, one thing is for sure: it is a lot of patience and a lot of work in progress with a lot of people. So you have to be not just a strategist, but also a team player. Imagine in one household, if you have four members, four of them to think alike and buy one couch. Imagine that. And then imagine if you have at least 72 players out there and you have to bring them all on one table. So you have to be a team player. You have to be working with the whole team together and getting them to understand your point. It is hard. It is difficult. It is not that easy. It is not working in silos. It is not that, okay, 9 to 5, this is my job. I do this, and that is it done. It is like being and managing people, managing relationships, managing their understanding and bringing them to work with you on your point. So that is one thing that probably people feel very much averse to. But on the other hand, politics in itself, people don't realize it is no different to any other thing. I suppose the main politics is in the households, in the joint families. I used to I'll share something with you. It was funny. The other day, my mom-in-law is overseas, right? So she's highly educated. She has been a school principal in her life. So she said to me, "Oh, beta, how is it going with your business?" I said, "Mom, that's great. I'm just waiting for you to come back so then we can talk more about it." And she goes, "Oh, but how is it going in your council, and what is happening in state now that the whole shift has happened?" I said, "Mom, you know what? Honestly, you need to be back. I'm missing out on all the training at home ground." And she goes, "Oh, yeah, right. So politics starts at home." I said, "Of course." And because of all that, what we do, what we learn, we are able to implement that as it. So let's face it, jokes apart, but when you are at your work, you have politics over there, and it is labeled as work politics. When you are at home, you're working together between the 3 or 4 generations under the one roof. So your parents, your family, in your age, and then your kids, bringing all of them on the same page, working all of them together. It is no different to the world of politics. So I suppose politics has been really blemished and put in a very negative connotated box. But
Sure.
I honestly love working with people. These are people who have their eyes on future. They know where to take the world, take the country, take the community.
Yeah. And just lastly, Reena, are there any 2 or 3 issues that you're really passionate about, which you wish to achieve in your public life?
Absolutely. Look, as a local councillor, I personally understand the local businesses need a lot of help and support. I am a huge advocate of local and small and medium businesses, and I personally would want to see a world where it is a 20-minute to work home, you work, play, and shop in the same area. And that is what making us self-reliant as a suburb, as a council. And similarly, when you're looking at growth, Hillshire Council is a growing council. I want infrastructure, playgrounds. I want stadiums. I want home. I want theaters. I want people who are working from home to have the excellent internet. Like where we still, like we are in the top-notch, most advanced country, but there are places, suburbs where there's no internet connection, no power, and I want that all that to happen. So probably I want it all, but another main issue is where women are coming forward with their business entrepreneurs. We have women who leave their mainstream job and go away, have babies, make a beautiful family, and when they're trying to get back into the workforce, 5 years gone by and they are labeled as, "Oh my God, you are sort of in that obsolete box. You need refreshers, you need new courses, and the new generation is coming up." We are not here to compete. We are here to make a place. I want to strengthen and encourage and empower those women. And that happens, according to me, by one, education, financial independence, and awareness and connectivity. So you need to be connected, you need to talk to each other, you need to reach out. And I am a huge advocate of that. So looking forward, I will be looking at infrastructure, local infrastructure, providing everything for my residents, women, empowering them for their business and financial independence, awareness, and supporting local small and medium businesses.
Reena Jethi, thank you so much for taking out time and joining us at the Australia today. And I'm sure we'll be having many more interviews with you in the future.
Thank you, Pallavi. Again, very much grateful for having me on board Australia Today, and to all our viewers, and good luck to you.